Tonight, the newly released transcripts paint a tumultuous picture, with the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, telling lawmakers she was the target of a smear campaign by the president's allies, including his outside attorney, Rudy Giuliani. At issue, Yovanovitch raised concerns about Giuliani, who was investigating the 2016 election and the Bidens in Ukraine. Yovanovitch even citing Ukrainian officials, telling her to watch her back because of Giuliani. She was ultimately recalled months ahead of her scheduled departure. The president pressed late today. Was Marie Yovanovitch the target of a smear campaign?
I really don't know her, but if you look at the transcripts, the president of Ukraine was not a fan of hers either. I mean, he did not exactly say glowing things. I'm sure she's a very fine woman. I just don't know much about her.
But on that July 25th phone call with Ukraine's president, President Trump called Yovanovitch bad news. Her reaction, "I was shocked. I was very surprised that the president would speak about me or any ambassador in that way to a foreign counterpart." And when asked if she felt threatened, her answer, yes. Yovanovitch also told House investigators that EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland told her she should tweet out praise of President Trump if she wanted to save her job, adding, quote, "You need to go big or go home." Another transcript released today shows Michael McKinley, the former top advisor to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, testified he resigned because of a puzzling and baffling lack of support for Yovanovitch. McKinley telling lawmakers he repeatedly urged officials, including Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, to publicly support Yovanovitch, but they wouldn't. McKinley finally left his post, telling Pompeo this is unacceptable, he testified. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill today, investigators subpoenaed 4 more administration officials, but all of them refused to show up at the order of the White House. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff with a stern warning.
This will only further add to the body of evidence on a potential obstruction of Congress charge against the president.
Schiff said tomorrow they will release the testimony of 2 other top diplomats, Gordon Sondland and Kurt Volker, both central figures in the Ukraine controversy. Savannah.
And Kristen, there's also news tonight about another key figure who says he's willing to testify. What can you tell us?
That's right, and this is significant. Lev Parnas, one of Rudy Giuliani's top associates in Ukraine, is now willing to comply with congressional investigators, his attorney tells NBC News. Parnas was recently indicted and helped Giuliani look into the Bidens in Ukraine. He could provide key details.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.